Questions?
I have a question for Viniece. Who's the audience for the analysis of tree cover and health? I think it's a really interesting relationship. Where does it go once you've done the work?
Great question. Is it on?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Sean Landry and Michael Andrew at UF have done quite a bit of outreach and science delivery, as we call it in government, related to this work. It hasn't necessarily integrated my section with the health outcomes, but they are at planning meetings, city and commission type settings, so they're definitely on the outreach side of that.
Further questions?
Jill, do you think, so the priority on the beach, it seems like, is to just get all the stuff collected. Do you think that having recycling bins and trash cans and trying to get the message out to separate recyclables is hindering the overall goal of just collecting everything? And since most of it's probably recyclable anyway, just to throw everything in one bin.
So that's interesting. We have on the beach itself 300 recycling and trash bins, and both of them are pretty much ignored, to be honest. And we also hand out plastic bags for all the students to collect trash wherever, because it is hard to move around. It's really crowded and condensed. And again, they're not using them. I think it's the combination potentially of alcohol with yeah, so I'm not quite sure if just offering one option would solve that, but I'll think about it. That's a good idea.
Paul?
I have a question for the architects in the first presentation with LEED certification. Do you know if there's any evidence that suggests that people build more or do more lighting or other things because they get some kind of moral licensing from the certification? That's a term that people use, that when I know that I'm doing good, I actually end up doing more than I would have if I didn't think I was such a good person getting a gold star. So one of our architects have thought about that behavioral, perverse behavioral reaction to the certification process.
She might be able to answer it better, but I know for sure that with certain projects, I think people come into it and actually add in more because they can achieve LEED, instead of if they were just going to make a home that they weren't trying to achieve anything, then they might just leave everything out. But if they're trying to achieve LEED, I think it definitely promotes doing more and more and then trying to reach a higher standard from there.
I actually work for a green builder in town, and I think that LEED is too complicated and initially too expensive for that to be as large of a factor as you might have suggested.
I think a problem we have as architects and interior designers that you're committed to or helping the environment, but what happens is a lot of times the client, they don't want to spend the extra money on the research, because a lot of LEED entails research. What's the latest product? How can we use that? Because there's so many new products coming on board that they have not been enough time in the environment to see how they really excel or perform or maintain. So I think it's one of these things that it's going to take quite a long time to educate the public. Like if your friend had a LEED home and you come and visit and you go, oh my gosh, this is so wonderful, this is different. It's that it's going to take a slow process of educating the public on the worthiness of having LEED. But also LEED also has a competitor, Green Globe, which is also another environmental way of fulfilling necessity to having a safer environment, a cleaner environment as well. And that's growing, particularly in the public, private sector. Colleges and building owners are really seeking, going after green globes because it's less paperwork, as opposed to LEED. Good question, thank you.
One more question?
Yeah, I have a question for Keren. I was interested in this Folkestone project that you mentioned. You said that they wanted to use native plants in their landscaping, and it wasn't clear to me what their motivation was. It sounded almost like they were more interested in the aesthetic and tourism-related values of these plants rather than the ecological impact?
I think it's actually both. With Folkestone, they're really trying to relay a sense of place and the importance of these healthy ecosystems that is very much a part of their community. In both the environmental aspects of reducing non-point source of pollution, water conservation, and providing more habitat and natural plant communities, but also to relate, this is what Charlton County is about, and our neighboring National Wildlife Refuge, Okefenokee. So I think those are some of the main incentives for them. Thank you.
All right.